Hello, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Hey, 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 it's the phenomenal STEMist. Good afternoon, good afternoon. How is everyone doing? We're doing something a little different, doing something a little different. We're talking about how to become a phenomenal STEMist, where actually my friend interviews me. Oh my goodness. Before we start, I want to always remember to remind you guys to see my book, Phenomenal STEMITs. It's on Amazon now. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And of course, you can find me on all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, at Phenomenal STEMist. And if you have a child that you want to train in STEM, you can find some examples of camps and classes on www.phenomenalstemist.com. All right, all right, all right. Okay, this is a little different. I have my friend with me, Howard Webley. He's an awesome microbiologist that works for a governmental institution, and he is going to interview me. Hey, Howard.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you good. I hear you good.
All right.
Whew. This is different. Okay, you have it. You have the floor.
Sounds cool. We get to flip it around a bit. Okay. And so once again, I just want to thank you just for the opportunity to come along with you on this journey here, and for everyone listening in and watching. We know that we hear and listen to. We watch the phenomenal STEMists just go off and have these wonderful conversations about all these different topics and everything. But I mean, I can imagine. But who is she really? You know, who is she? Who is that individual who has all this to say? Um, and so we're gonna take an opportunity now to see if we can find out a little bit more. So for those of you who are familiar with the questions that are normally asked for the guests, now we're gonna see what she has to say.
All
Um,
right.
so first question, when did you fall in love with your discipline? When did you fall in love with your discipline?
So I will say I was very young. I'm a child of Jamaican parents. So my grandmother migrated here to America, specifically New York City, and she came here in the 60s. She actually went to community college and was educated in getting her RN in nursing. So she was a well-educated professional back in Jamaica as an educator. She was a teacher. But when she came here, she transitioned to nursing. And it's funny, my parents, both my parents, my father and my mother, they also went to community college to get their first degrees. But I think my grandmother loved to teach me. So when they had me, they were living in my grandmother's house, and she was doing nursing at the time, and I know she learned a lot about science, and I think she transitioned all her education in the sciences to me. So what she would do, she taught me to read very early. She taught me to read at 3 years old, and while she was teaching me to read, she was also teaching me science. So she would like tell me to place like a kidney bean in the darkest type of soil and make sure I water it and make sure it's next to the window so that light come in, and I would religiously do that and watch the first plant emerge from the seed, watch the seedling, and it amazed me to the point where I would always do it. Like I would do it throughout my childhood. I don't know. And when she died at a young age. She died when I was 7. I think I would just do it in her memory. And she would also teach me to dissect flowers. She would, she would go in the backyard with me and she would pick a flower and she would teach me what's inside the flower. So I saw the carpels, I saw the stamen. So like reproduction, crazy. And she was teaching about all these things at a very, very, very young age. And so what by the time I was in elementary school, I was going to museums, I was going to the planetarium. I fell in love with science very early. Um, and I didn't want to stop. So when I went to high school, I still did it. When I went to college, I still did it. I became a biologist. But I really think I became a biologist when my grandmother taught me to read and about plants and flowers, the inner workings of them. So that's
So,
my that.
no, that's a pretty interesting. I like that because I'm hearing some elements in your explanation, and of course we're going to get into it a little bit deeper later on. But not just the learning of the science just through the activities, but also how it sounds to hear science being taught.
Mhm.
So you're hearing, you're also learning how it sounds to teach science, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. You're
Yep.
listening, you're listening to you said your grandmother, and when
Mhm.
you listen to your grandmother teach it, you know. So because I know from my background with science, I know it's not about me. I'm not gonna, but with my background with science, I was so much, you know, being the youngest child and the only boy of 3 children. I would go find science. Like
Mm.
I was so interested in stuff that I would go find the stuff and just, you know, the earthworms and just, you know, just be in stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But no one was actually teaching me about the stuff
Got
necessarily.
it.
You see, so I had
Yep.
a different approach to wanting to learn it, wanting to learn a different approach to receiving the information. You know, very interesting, very
That's
interesting.
powerful. That's so, 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 so true. I was taught science from a young age. Like my first scientific word was photosynthesis. My grandmother told me to say that word.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was like you said, it involves language. So she was teaching me how to read very early. So it involved language and experimentation or discovery, really, not really experimentation, just observation and discovery and language mixed together. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, because I learned how to read so early when I was in kindergarten, my teacher saw that, my kindergarten teacher saw that I knew how to read because most children don't know how to read in kindergarten. They probably by the time they might know words and things like that, and they know the alphabet, but they don't know how to fluently read. But when she found out I could read, she would have me sit in the front of the class. And you know how kindergarten, what they do is the teacher would have the book and they would say, and such and such and such and such and such. I don't know if you guys remember kindergarten. My teacher made me do that. I'm not just the science. It's not just science. It's literacy that was ingrained in me. My father's a teacher, So when he went to started at community college, but he went all the way up to a master's degree. He's an educator, you know. My mother, she believes in education. She went after she got her uh, community college degree. She went all the way up to get her master's degree. Like, so it's a combination of education and science mix that I
Mhm,
saw from a very young age. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and modeling of teaching. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
interesting stuff. All right, all right, all right. Getting in deep already. Wow, we're not even started. Wow, this is phenomenal stuff. What more could I expect coming from the phenomenal STEMist? Okay. Um, so secondly here, and you mentioned a little bit already of it. I was going to ask you. So who are you in terms of your background? You know where you come from, and so forth. And you mentioned a bit about that already. I don't know if you want to go into like where you're actually from and where you grew up and the
Okay.
type of environment that that contributed to who you are.
Yeah, I'm from New York City, by way of Jamaican parents. So I'm a Jamaican American. I but I was born and raised in Queens, New York. Um, Lower middle class neighborhood, you know, Hollis, Queens to Jamaica, Queens, you know, so middle class to lower middle class. I had a great life though. My parents believed in education and supported me to private education, Christian education throughout my childhood. I did go to public school the first 2 years of my life, but so I had a mix of street and church.
A little bit of edge, a little bit of edge.
Yeah, I'm a roundaray girl, you know. Extensions in my hair, no bamboo earrings, no 2 pairs, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, being a Bronx native, I know what you're talking about. So I understand the edge. I understand the edge, but also, those type of things just, also just contribute to how to the struggle, to the perseverance in the struggle, because it's an inner city environment. It just really it is, and it comes with its various elements, right, that make it tough because I know, we've seen it where we've seen our peers we come up with in the same environments, don't necessarily make all the decisions that we may have made. And that's
yeah,
something we have to, we so pretty much grow up with, seeing.
yep,
Mm.
yep,
And wanting to contribute to help others from those environments make wise decisions, and they're up because we've seen it.
because we've seen it,
Mm.
and the
All right.
passion is there. The passion is there to do it. Yep, you're so right.
Next question then, moving along. What tools did you use to discipline yourself to succeed? And I'm going to add on to that question, what did you actually do or study in school while you were there?
Okay, so after I went through elementary and high school, I graduated and I went on to Oakwood College, now university. It's a Seventh Day Adventist college down in Huntsville, Alabama. I got my bachelor's degree in biology. And after I graduated from Oakwood, I went on to home. I went back home to the BX to Bronx, to Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and I received my PhD, my master's and PhD in the biomedical sciences, specifically the track molecular pharmacology. So that's my educational background. Um, what tools did I discipline myself? I have three main things that I needed to do. Well, number one, when I was a freshman, I got all B's, and I didn't. I was it was my first time away from home. I had all these new friends. I'm raised the only child. I have two brothers, but I was raised the only child. So it's the first time I was in the midst of siblings, my friends from high school and college. A lot of my high school friends went on to Oakwood with me. And so I was doing a lot of partying, not necessarily like clubbing or anything, but just wasting a lot of time, like staying up late playing spades, staying up late watching TV, hanging with friends. This is my first time having other people in my around. That was being raised an only child and always wanting to have siblings as an only child. It was just an amazing thing for me. So I just wasted a whole lot of time. And I saw it in my grades. I didn't do bad because I really had a strong foundation. So I just got all B's though. I had a 3.2 average, and that might seem great to some people, but not somebody who's trying to go off into upper level graduate division like med school, graduate school. So I was
Yeah,
devastated.
I'm trying to process that. Process that. Being a marginal student when I was at that stage, still trying to figure things out. I'm trying to process partying all the time and only maintaining a B. I really am trying to, you know, it didn't
Ah!
work out the same for me when I started out. It didn't work out the same. But I hear you though. I hear you
Yeah,
though.
yeah. So I still was disappointed, and so that's the key thing. You got to be disappointed in what you have. Number one, if you won't discipline yourself until you are disappointed. If you are satisfied with the grades you have, you will not discipline yourself. So step one, you can't be satisfied, and then so I had to do something about it. So I actually went to a Christian school, and I realized that I was at that time, I didn't even go to church. My first year, I didn't go to church at all. I just slept in because I was tired after studying. But I gave my life back to God. Like I became more spiritual. I will wake up in the morning and worship early in the morning, and that became the revelation that I need to manage my time. Like I literally need to say, okay, I'm going to wake up at this time, then I'm going to breakfast at this time. So time management schedule awakened from me putting God first.
Wow.
And so then I would have a healthy lifestyle. Like I became vegan by that time. I would wake up early and then go to breakfast, eat a balanced meal. I would go to sleep. I would literally go to sleep. I said listen, I still have a time management schedule. Like that's how I'm still successful. I manage every hour of my day. Even the word sleep is in my schedule. And when I went to sleep and woke up early in the morning to study, so I would worship and then wait, then study, and then eat, and then go to class, and then do this, and then that was key for me. Um, and the last one I think that helped me discipline myself was teaching others. I was constantly involved in teaching. When I was a freshman, I was a part of the Academic Success Center. Sophomore through senior year, I was a lab instructor and a tutor. So I would teach others, and the more I would teach others, the more it would solidify the information in my brain. And
Mm,
so that's how I did. That's how I went from having a 3.2 to 4.0s pretty much consecutively my sophomore and middle of my junior year. I started to get B's again, but like very few. And and I'm talking about hardcore classes. I'm taking organic chemistry, physics, and micro at the same time, plus three other. I was taking 21 hours of classes my sophomore year, and I made straight A's when I
mm.
made that change. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
I'm hearing source of motivation. Actually, I'm actually even hearing surrender at first, just submitting to God and desiring to be in His presence, and then Him giving you instruction as to how you ought to go about your goals. And basically, He had already positioned you to achieve those goals. It's just a matter of what will be your the course of action that you choose to take, and he gave you that, and so now you had your schedule, and you desired to stick to it, um, and then just being motivated to continue on along that pathway. That's even a diet for clarity of vision and understanding, clear brain function,
Rest.
and rest definitely is part of your schedule. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and to those of you who do not believe in God, surrender to something higher than yourself. That's the key thing. Like even if it's a group, You have a group of authority over you, right? I surrendered to someone that is higher than myself, and that was so key for me. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, unpack that a little bit further. So, I mean, the word that comes to my mind is accountability when you mention
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
allowing a circle, or whether it be a circle, or to hold you accountable, to be able to say, hey, you know, so I know that's tough for that's always been tough for me during that time period, where, and probably even now, where it's like you have a people around you who you can sort of lean on and check in on you and say, how are you doing? You know, how's everything going? Are you this is what you said you were going to do? Are you holding to that? You know.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, all right, good stuff. It's phenomenal. Let's go on to the next question. What were your challenges in school? Because it sounded like, from what we just discussed, that you were riding high at this point. Straight A's, 21 credits, all hardcore sciences. So what were the challenges that you faced, if any, at this point?
So I think the main challenges, let's say my freshman year, was, I wasn't doing well on tests. And even throughout high school, I didn't get a high SAT score. And when I graduated from college and I did the GRE, I didn't get a high GRE score. So I never focused too much on testing. And I look back as a professor now, realizing, oh, yeah, I just probably didn't take the time to read the question. I was rushing through it, didn't take the time, probably had test anxiety, all kinds of things. I was really a good test taker. But by the time I really took the time to slow down, I think, and understand the information, I think I started to master exams. But like I said before, I knew the information rock solid, but standardized tests, I just always didn't get the highest scores. But I think most of my challenges happened when I was in grad school, and it's different. So I said before, I didn't just get stopped at a bachelor's. I went on to a master's, and my master's degree was really easy. A year and a half. It was a verbal dissertation or thesis defense. Very easy. I scored honors on it. But when I started to work in the laboratory, and now it has nothing to do with your smarts or passing tests, it has to do with just being persistent through failure.
Mm,
So lab experiments aren't necessarily always supposed to work. It's not like academia where it's like what the results are supposed to be and you can write a report. You're literally trying to discover something new. And when you discover something new, there is a whole lot of failure. Whole lot of failure. And managing that after riding so high in undergrad, the failure just has nothing to do with how smart I am. It just has to do with the fact that things don't work, but that's okay. So accepting that labs results didn't work all the time was just a challenge for me. But it was when I graduated from my PhD, right? Like when because what happened was stuff was working in the beginning, and I wrote a couple of papers, and my PI, my principal investigator, he's the one that ran the lab. He loved me. My hands were like gold. So he just kept giving me more and more stuff to do. And I think God was like, no, it's time for stuff to stop working. Because after stuff stopped working, he said, you know what, Maya, you've given me enough. It's time to graduate. If stuff worked all the time, I'd probably still be a PhD student. I don't know. But there's positivity in failure. I
did
had to
you
learn that.
Sorry, real quick, backtrack a little bit. Did you know, in going into grad program, did you know that you wanted to achieve PhD when you were getting into your master's? Was that one of those sort of combined programs where one led into the other?
Yeah, it was a combined program, and I decided that when I was in college. I was teetering between med school in the beginning of my years, but then I realized I loved science, and I was thinking I wanted to teach it, but then I just don't have the patience for children or adolescents. So I said, you know what? I want to teach college. And as an African American female in order to teach college and university level, you just have to have a PhD. There might be people that have master's degree, but that's just the way I call it, the black tax. It's funny, some people feel that African Americans don't do as much or may not be as motivated, and that's just so not true. We say we have to do twice as much just to be considered average, right? So I just knew that I had to go all the way. And so, yeah, I've always known I wanted to get my PhD Once I decided I love science, I said I was going to go the PhD route.
Got it. Um, ah, there was something I was just going to ask you. So you mentioned the challenges that you face and how now addressing problems. It seemed like the picture of success, what success was, sort of changed. It morphed. It was different now. And so it almost like the proverbial goalpost changed. Like it's like, it's okay. I've mastered exams, I've mastered taking these tests, I've mastered doing the work that was required of me at this time. But now they flipped the script on you. It changed now in this new environment where now it's attacking problems and
Yeah.
many problems. Problems abound, right? But now you're, I guess, exercising the muscle of problem solving more so.
Problem solving, endurance,
Persevere.
perseverance. That's a PhD right there.
Mm, mm,
Problem solving, perseverance, and endurance. That's success. And
mm.
if you can continue in it in spite of multiple failures, I call getting a PhD a boring roller coaster. Like,
Wow.
the fun roller coasters are like this. PhDs are like up, down. You like very few highs and a whole bunch of lows. Very few highs and a whole bunch of lows. But if you endure, and it's funny, I was talking to my friend today about I when I wrote my dissertation. I wrote my dissertation in 3 months after a breakup. I actually think it's miraculous. I just had a breakup, and then I said, "You know what? Let me get out of this place and let me finish my degree." And I just sat down in front of my dinner table, told my boss, and at that time stuff stopped working too. So it was like a combination of it all, and I just focused in, and I sat at that table for 3 months straight, and I wrote my dissertation.
It's
Mhm.
like it's like, oh yeah, life. Forgot about that part, right?
Yeah, life is going on. Life is going on. Like that's the difference between like college and like life is. I was working. My PhD was like a lab experience. It was like a lab experience. So, it's like I'm working, like you work in the lab. I was working in the lab. That was my PhD experience. It wasn't studying. It was 4 years of working in the lab and hoping things work where I can write a story about it. Yeah. Hey, Don, what's going on? Live from New York. Yeah. Endurance in the midst of failure, in the midst of tribulation, sadness. Can you push through? So I honor all the people that get a PhD. It took a lot of endurance, not necessarily a lot of smarts, but endurance. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to what are your challenges now? Now you've endured, you have gone through the process, perseverance, even the failed relationship. Oh man, it's like you go through all of these different things that life is throwing at you, but at the same time, still focused on your goals, what you need to accomplish, what you desire to accomplish. Then you get after the boring roller coaster ride. Uh, now the roller coaster stops, I guess, kind of. Or at least you get off. You get off the ride, right? And now it's like, what's next? And so, uh, what are your challenges now? Where are you now? And what are the things that you're experiencing now?
Okay, so currently I'm the founder of Phenomenal STEMist, a very important organization that I use to promote science, technology, engineering, and math to parents who have children that are interested in STEM, and also adolescents and adults that are interested in a STEM career. Um, I am a professor of biology at a community college in Orlando area of Florida. And I'm also a principal investigator of a National Science Foundation grant that promotes scholarships and opportunities in STEM, specifically biological sciences, for students of color and other underrepresented populations in STEM. And so I'm very passionate about making sure that the next generation, I call myself a bridge for the underrepresented in STEM. I am a bridge. I got over to the PhD level, to the highest level there is. It's funny, let's say of 100 students, I was one of 4, right? I was one of 4 that started and one of 2 that finished, right? So, I'm in the 2%.
Mm,
Most people who have a PhD live in the 2%, and I want to be a bridge to increase that amongst African Americans, especially. And I do that because I teach at a community college, which is highly underrepresented. That's where most underrepresented students go outside of historically black colleges. I have my business, and my grant is about that. So I'm very passionate about that. So you think about my time. There's just not enough time in the day. I had to write this down. I was like, what are my challenges now? I said, there's not enough time in the day. I invest so much energy in this. And I put so much energy. Um, I teach four, one, two, I teach 5 classes a week. Many of them are introductory biology courses, but I also have a research course. So I teach about 200 students a year, and I pour myself into them. I pour myself into the business. I invest so much of myself into this, and I just sometimes you just don't feel poured back into.
mm, mm, mm.
I think that's I think that's my greatest challenge because
Wow.
I pour so much of myself in, and because of the arena that I'm in, there are not a lot of people that look like me. I have great colleagues. Um but yeah, I don't I the amount of energy I think I invest into things and people, I just don't feel the same amount poured back in. And so it leaves you get exhausted.
I feel like that's just one of the major crux of the educator of they have the educator has this burden to to educate and to and it's such an act of love to
Yeah.
educate. Um, my grandmother was also or is also an educator, teacher as long as I can remember. She's in her 90s now, back in Jamaica, and
Yeah.
even now she's still like writing lesson plans for my children. Like
Wow.
she'll write, just because that's who she's always been.
Yeah.
Like just word study, things like that. She's like, wait, how old is that one again? How old is that one again?
Wow.
And she's like, okay, so this remember this one is for this amount year old, and this one is for this. You got to make sure give it to them, and I have to give it to them. I have to, and try to, have them finish it. And it's weird because they, by the grace of God, they've had advanced very well as well. So by the time it gets to them, it's like they're they're able to do it.
Do it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
her desire, her desire to educate, to teach, and to make sure that people are. So it's an act of love. It's making sure that people as are loved,
Yeah.
that that a population is loved, is given this gift, this tool that they need to live better lives.
And like you said, like coming back to my background growing up, seeing so many of us unloved,
Mm, mhm.
you know, and lost and taken away and abused and
As a
even
result of
as
ignorance.
a yeah, yeah. So I just feel that much more to do that, give. Mhm.
Yeah, and so you give, and sometimes it's where's the reward? Where's that's sort of the crux of the educator.
Yeah.
Where do you?
Who's pouring in? Who's pouring back in?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something you want to go into a little bit? How do you get re-energized? How does the educator become, get a little bit more going? Get
I
the
don't think
battery filled.
I don't think we do. Like I did like that's the challenge. That's the challenge, you know? Um you try to
How,
enjoy your life, you try to enjoy your friends, you try to enjoy um God, church, but it's just you don't the amount of energy you pour out, it's not enough. So you
how
have
about
to literally you have to literally go back to God to
mhm,
get it. But sometimes you're pouring it out into people, you know? So you want it back from people.
right, reciprocated?
You know what
So
I'm saying?
how about this? How about this?
Yeah.
Pull this one out the hat, only because I've heard it come from you many times, and you've even expressed it publicly on your platforms.
Mhm.
Graduation day. You
Graduate my
always talk about graduation day as being a time when that's so exciting and fulfilling for you every year, seeing your students achieve this next stage in their life.
and I take pictures with them. I go outside and I wait for them to pass by and I take selfies with them. That is definitely an energizer, especially in this December campus. So I'm extremely tired right now because I teach all year round and it's around the December graduation that re-energizes me. So I get a nice break after. I get a whole month off. So so around November, it's like so much have the whole weight of the year is on you. You take the nice pictures and you get the whole month off. It it really it re-energizes. Yep,
All right. All right.
that's a good point.
And
Yeah,
so
grad
I'm gonna use that one to segue into our last question here. Our last question is, what's your favorite part of your career right now? Your career seems so multifaceted right now. There are a number of different things that you do. So, what's your favorite parts?
I love the freedom.
Hmm.
My career gives me the freedom to do whatever I want. I love the freedom. I love the freedom. I love the time. Even though I teach five classes, um, I'm home by 5. Except on Mondays, my research class goes till 7. Um, and I don't teach on Fridays. I have multiple holidays off, paid. I could dress anywhere I want. I could wear my hair anywhere. Academia, that's the beauty of academia. You can say political things in the classroom as long as you don't offend anybody and disrespect people. There is so much freedom in academia. I don't have to dress up. I don't have to wear makeup. That's just not my style. I'm not a dress up makeup type of girl. And I don't have to. I can wear scrubs to work. I can wear jeans to work. I can wear shorts to work. I can do whatever. I can look any way I want as long as I'm not naked and I love the freedom of academia. I have time to write books. I have time. Now, I say there's not enough time in the day. That's because I fill it up. That's because I fill it up.
Okay.
I fill it up with things like research and writing books and doing my business and right. But my job, I'm talking about what do I like about my job as a professor and principal investigator? I just have so much freedom. I love it. I love it. The pay is good and I have so much freedom. Um, I think that's the best part of my job. Of course, you see the results of success and you watch your students go on to be nurses and physicians. I have taught physicians and nurses and pharmacists and respiratory therapists. I have watched people come out of the slums and poor parts of the community, the ghettos, and bring their their families out of poverty in 2 years, 3 years. Totally shift the financial dynamic of generations. I just love that. I love
You,
the ability to do that. Yeah.
you mean
And that probably after a month vacation keeps me going to do it again. Yeah.
sure? Yeah. So you mean they don't necessarily have to be a super sports star to shift their
You know that's my passion. You know that's my passion. Too many the myth is the only way to get out of poverty is what did Biggie say? You're either slinging a crack rock or throwing a dope pass or something like that. No, you don't have to be a rapper, a drug dealer, a sports phenom to bring your family out of poverty. You could get a 2-year degree in respiratory therapy and make $70,000 a year. You could be a IT degree with certifications, hundreds of $1,000s a year. You can bring your family out of poverty through education. Education is the most well documented way that black people in this country has brought their families out of poverty. Don't let any other myth say anything else. They always say, "Oh, you don't need this and you don't need that." Listen, our forefathers died to read. I'm telling you, it's the most well documented way our people have gotten out of poverty. No other way has brought our people out of poverty like education has. So, yeah, that should be the number one priority for your children. I always say God first, education second, sports last. Yeah.
very good, very good. Excuse me. I'm filled. I'm filled. I'm here. Phil, this is very good. This is very good. I just on that last note that you mentioned, it's like because I've seen, we have the opportunity as we mentioned about peers and so forth, and so we see our peers going to be successful through education and so forth. And for us as a people, I know this is stuff that you speak about on your platform, and we don't have to go into it now, but I just want to touch on that there's the education part that lifts us up out, but then there's another level also, right? Now I like to refer to ownership, things like that then brings the generational wealth and has it stay within within our families, within our communities.
Yeah.
So and even that there's an educational element to that too.
Personal development, that's my big thing right now. I was talking to one of my friends today about, if I had to do it over again, I would my parents divorced. And if I had to do it over again, I would have gotten personal development as soon as possible. 21. So while, a lot of people are going back to school and when they feel lonely and or sad or bored, they try to go back to school again. Like I wouldn't go like if see how some people have 2 PhDs? Like I will never go back to school. I'm done with school, but I'm heavy on personal development.
So when
And
you say, sorry,
yeah, like, understanding your personality traits, understanding who you are, therapy, right? Therapy, assessments, coaching, like that is personal development, being your greatest self based on who you are, having a full level of acceptance. Because when you do that, you can come together with other people. You could come together with other people and marry and build generational wealth and keep it because you make wise decisions. There are a lot of people who have a lot of education but throw their whole life away based on poor personal decisions. And so I'm all about personal development right now. And of course, financial literacy, like you were saying, to keep it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Education, all different facets of education. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
we have really been educated here.
Mhm.
Again, what else would we expect when hanging out with the phenomenal STEMist here, and myself having an opportunity to just glean a little bit more, learn a little bit more on this platform. Thank you so much. And I'm wondering if I'm supposed to, switch it back over to you right now,
Yes,
or you know.
thanks so much, Howard. I am the phenomenal STEMist, and so is he. Thanks, Howard. You did a great job. Everybody, I'm gonna give you a round of applause via. I know that was the wrong one. I did laughter. My
Oh
bad.
yeah, that sounds
It
like you
should be.
laughing at me there. What was
My
that?
bad. Let me get it. Let me get the. Yeah, there's the applause.
There we go. Thank you, thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
All right.